Tonight on This Week in NASCAR, the big boys hit Daytona. And the big ones hit back.
Tony looks to make the move. He swings to the high side. Tony gets it to Kyle. He hits the wall. Tony Stewart is going to win the Coke Zero 400.
Next up, Chicago. Will this year be as good as last?
The remarkable year of Kyle Busch continues tonight here at Chicagoland Speedway.
This Week in NASCAR gives you all the love, all the mayhem, all the time. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico.
Yes, we are.
And good Monday night to you, everybody. Steve Burns here in the Charlotte, North Carolina studio, the home of This Week in NASCAR with Chad Canals and Michael Waltrip. Michael is here to make his big announcement.
And it is?
We're going to be live tomorrow on Speed. How cool is that? 12:30 tomorrow. They're flipping a switch, and I went back in the back and found it. They're flipping a switch and going live from MWR to cover our press conference that will talk about what MWR is doing in the future.
Does that include MWR? Does that include MW?
Yes, Michael is a big part of what's going on. Napa is a big part. They've been the best sponsor in the world. I've had them for the last 9 years. They've been on my car, won races, had a lot of fun, made some great commercials. It's like two entities came together and meshed. You know, I wanted to race my car. That was the main thing to me. And they said, well, while you're doing that, would you mind making some goofy commercials? I said, heck yeah, let's do all those things together. It can go along simultaneously. We'll race down this road together. And tomorrow we're going to tell you the next chapter in that relationship.
Well, Chad and I had conspired.
There's several other people involved. Me and Napa. Napa, the greatest sponsor in the world, last 9 years. Did I mention that?
You said you love them.
I do.
And you meshed?
We did. We're two entities.
You were like a nucleus.
That came together. And I'll tell you this, there's no separation in the near future. We're integrated.
That's all we're getting, though.
We're integrated, and we're going to remain that way.
Chad and I conspired Friday to see if we could do a sneak attack on you, but 12:30 tomorrow here on Speed.
So on Speed Live.
Now that is awesome. You must know somebody.
Are you going to come?
I wasn't invited.
Okay, good. It's good to know that. And what about you? You live up the street. You want to come?
Can I come to MWR? I've never been there.
You should come. I'll show you around. It's pretty cool.
I would like to see it.
All right.
I'm all giddy. People are sad about what might be said, but I'm not. I'm happy, and I'm looking forward to moving on to what's next.
All right. Well, hey, tell us about Daytona.
All right. Well, that was bad. Buzzkill. You just delivered.
No. In the context of Saturday night's race.
Well, when the race started on Saturday night, I told Booty and my guys, I said, I got a great car. Just try. It's cool. And I was right. It was fast, and we were happy. Had to start near the back, hung there a little bit, and then in this crash, just unavoidable. We hit a car in the back. I don't even know who it was, but he came from nowhere and clobbered him, and it messed up our night. But I know that we had a chance to win the race. I know we were on our way through the pack when that happened. We had been up in there a couple times, didn't look right yet. You know how you have to do, Chad. You've done it before. If you start in the back, you got to make sure when you make your march from the back to the front, you do it at the right time. And we had a car that we could have gotten there with. Marcus Ambrose, you know, what awesome. A great job by Marcus. He is just amazing. What a great race car driver. He's a cat that shows up that just, you look at him and you listen to him and you say, darn, you know what you're doing, and he proved it on Saturday night.
He was behind us. He told his spotter, tell the 48 I'm going wherever he goes.
Yeah.
On this restart, they dropped green flag. We're up here. He went, dropped right down to the bottom. I was like, well, that didn't work out very good.
What happened to that? He's going where we're going.
Did he hit back up and say, tell the 48 I changed my mind? Or did you hear any of that?
No, we missed that part.
Oh, okay. Well, he must have. But the 48 had a great finish.
Probably about the time we had to pay back for the brake check at Sears Point, apparently.
That's true. The 48, you've had struggles recently at Daytona. Yeah. I bet you it felt good to, you've not run up to your standards at that joint, so it had to feel good to get back on track.
It did, Michael, and it was really nice. I mean, I hate to say it, for us to go to a racetrack and not have very, very high expectations is rare. And we kind of went in there saying, okay, we've got a great race car. We know it's handling very well from the practice sessions that we had on Friday, but still just not overly confident. And man, that thing was fast. And it was ridiculously fast the whole day. And we were real happy with it. We fell back a little bit. We had a miscue on pit road, and Jimmy slid through the pits just a little bit, and we fell back to, I think, 20th. And before the end of that run, he had passed every car in front of him except for the first three. And us, the 14, the 18, the 11, I mean, we just pretty much ran up front all day long. It was really, really great. I couldn't have been prouder of my team and Jimmy and the whole Lowe's Racing organization.
Our man Biff had a rough night, actually a rough weekend. He crashed in practice with Sam Hornish. Greg brings a 16-car home in the 18th position. Now, let's take a look at our headline. Big win for Tony Stewart. His 35th career victory in his third Daytona win, all wins in July.
You know, what's a shame for Tony, he walked around kind of disappointed that he got in a crash, but I think that was unavoidable for Tony. He got on the outside of Kyle. Kyle decided he was going to run up the hill a little bit and crowd Tony, and Tony didn't see that coming, I don't think. He didn't know that Kyle was going to make such an aggressive move to the right. He stood his ground and Kyle got crashed. So it's a shame when two guys are just all in. You know, they've got all their chips pushed in, they're racing for the checker. One of them has to wind up crash like this. But an amazing job as a guy that knows a little bit about restrictor plate racing, an amazing job by Tony Stewart the entire last lap. When he got passed by Kyle Busch coming off turn 4 and was able to squeeze between Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, that was the key to him winning that race, and that wasn't even at the white flag yet. He got over in their lane, it busted up their momentum together, it slowed Denny down, and then he pulled back over and got behind Kyle. I mean, I was just really impressed with the job that Tony did that entire last lap, and it didn't culminate until the checkered flag in the air and he being the first one there, but he did an amazing job all the way to that checkered flag.
Chad, we'll see it again momentarily in the highlights, but I want to get your take on that.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I think just like what Michael said, Tony did a great job that last lap to get himself in position to get back up to the front, but that wreck could have been avoided just like the wreck at Talladega. I mean, there's two pedals in those race cars and a steering wheel, and he could have lifted.
Tony could not have avoided that wreck.
Tony could have lifted.
You're wrong.
And Kyle could have stayed down in his lane.
Kyle could have stayed in his lane.
I think that wreck could have been avoided. That wasn't a situation to where, you know, look, it was unavoidable. You know, somebody was spinning in front of you and you just couldn't get out of the way in time. I mean, it could have been avoided on 2 counts, I think. Just very similar to Talladega. Now, I'm not putting fault on anybody. I'm just saying, you know, I mean, Tony did the right thing going for the win. Kyle did the right thing going for the win. But I'm just saying it could have been avoided.
Tony did an awesome job. He if he did anything wrong, he wiggled Kyle from behind. And that got Kyle a little bit goofy, and it gave Tony the run to the outside. But once Tony was there, he didn't have any option. He didn't do anything when Kyle turned right. He was just there, and I bet you he was shocked to see Kyle go flying across his hood. Now, you know, we've seen it over and over again. We saw it from Kyle Busch in Daytona. Look, see this move right here? Tony goes over to get on Kyle's quarter, and Kyle went over to block Tony. I mean, those two guys just made decisions.
Sure.
Tony said, I'm going to get on him. Kyle said, I'm going to block him. Crash.
Exactly.
I mean, that's going to happen.
Like I said, I'm not putting fault on anybody. I'm just saying there's a couple of things that could have happened to where they wouldn't have had an accident.
Right.
But they both made a conscious decision.
Here's the thing. There's this thing waving in the air.
I get
and
it.
Your brain is in your pocket. You're just like, I got to get it. But what a great job by both those competitors. Kyle Busch figuring out a way to get the lead on the last lap. What a great job by Kyle to do that.
Sure.
And then Tony figuring out a way to get it back.
And something else that I thought was really good is it was a good race. There was a lot of passing. There was a lot of action on the racetrack. It was never, ever boring. We had that one run towards the end of the event where the leaders kind of checked out a little bit. But, man, it was an exciting race.
I just love it. Points next, Steve. Bring them, roll them.
Go to the points.
And I got to tell you, I want to tell you something. What's fun as you look at the points, Kurt Busch has, you know, that was a wonderful battle from 4th to about 15th last week. It's less dramatic now. Some people separated themselves from the drama, which is good for them, but it isn't over yet. It changed that quickly at Daytona. We talk about Daytona being a wild card race, and it did change dramatically at Daytona. But we go to Chicago. If you're Kurt Busch and you have a problem up there, all of a sudden you're right back in the grasp of those guys 13th through 15th. So lot can still happen.
All right, much more on the Daytona race coming up. Hear what Tony Stewart said on the scanner right after he wrecked Kyle Busch. Radioactive is up next. Mark Martin's night was short. We'll check out all the highlights from Daytona Hey, we've seen some exciting finishes at Chicago. We'll show you some of the best ones coming up a little bit later in the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by Mike's Hard Punch, mix up a whole new party. And by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at a Bank of America Banking Center today.
Well, as you just heard Michael and Chad debate the end of the Coke Zero 400, it was a very intense race. You want more evidence? Here's Radioactive.
Radio check 1 2. 10-4, got you. Check 1 2. I got you there. You got me okay? Got a copy. 10-4.
We'll see a lot of friendships established this evening as drivers find drafting partners to work with, but as we get down to the late laps, friendship can be very, very fickle here at Daytona.
You can plan all you want to. Doesn't mean one cotton-picking thing when it comes down to that checkered flag.
All right, bud. Welcome to a nice, hot, sticky night in Daytona. You just let us know how that car is reacting all night. Try to stay on top of it. You'll be able to have it your way at the end of the night.
Green flag goes in the air, and we are underway.
Jeff Gordon's in that outside lane. Bye-bye, Jeff Gordon with no drafting help.
I'm not sure what to do here. I should just ride or what? Whatever you want to do, bud. Whatever you want to do. We got a long night. A lot of patience here.
At the front of the pack, it's on for the lead. Tony Stewart to the outside.
Keep doing what you're doing there, bud. Got a little bit of blading on the right rear. All I heard really was keep doing what I'm doing. That's good enough for me right now.
All of a sudden now, Kyle Busch has got his hands full.
Reagan gets it to the back of him.
What a dumb. All you had to do is just stay in line. Just help a brother out and be cool. No, let's all race.
It's all going to be decided by drafting help, and right now everybody's going with Tony Stewart.
You had your whopper out there yet? We saw the king riding with you a little while ago. I dropped it in the floor.
Trouble breaks out. David Rudeman, Dale Earnhardt Jr. We're going to wind up a dozen of them. Here they come back to the tri-oval. The green flag goes up in the air. Tony Stewart looks back, sees Kyle Busch poised in position and ready to pounce. Here comes Kyle Busch going for the lead here on the white flag.
I am the leader. Woo, woo.
Kyle Busch has got the lead, but he hasn't got the win yet. Tony Stewart is there. Tony looks to make the move. He swings to the high side. Kyle Busch.
Big wreck behind you. Sam, is he all right? I don't know. He took a really big hit, a couple big hits.
Tony Stewart is going to win the Coke Zero 400. A spectacular move, but you knew it was going to be something like that.
Get out, Cole. Yes, 10-4, Kenny. He got out. He's walking. Did an awesome job there, Tony. Big crew, everybody. Awesome, awesome, awesome job. Well, that's not the way I wanted to do it. Who turned Kyle? Not even sure, Kirk. Not even sure. He's all right. Kyle's out of the car and walking.
We talked about fireworks and a spectacular finish to the Coke Zero 400, and you just had one. Tony Stewart has won.
If I wasn't so busy during a race, I'd start to scan more people. I mean, is Kyle funny or what? I mean,
No, let's all race.
Like, Kyle's a very calm driver. I mean, he's the most aggressive person out there. That was hilarious. But, you know, the thing that's so neat about being able to do that is you can listen to that on the computer. You can hear it on TV and excerpts. If you're in the stands, you can hear it live listening in the scanners. And that's the coolest thing. And I'll tell you what, the stands were packed. There was a lot of people there. And it was a great event. There was so much action going on the whole night long, just like we spoke about. A lot of passing, a lot of racing. The tires were falling off, and that was making guys really need to drive their cars. Everybody's lifting off the throttle, and you guys had to adjust on the race cars. It was a great race, and it was a lot of fun. We all really enjoyed that one.
I have an idea, Michael. Let's go to the highlights.
Let's see them. I love it.
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage. Lap 12, Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth make contact. Mark Martin's going to spin.
Off turn 2, man. It's just a day's work to get your car off there. It wants to push up high. Martin pushed up high a little bit. There was someone on the outside of him. He winds up hitting the wall. I mean, think about who we're talking about on lap 12 running into the wall. One of the greatest drivers of all time. Mark Martin, that shows you how hard this job is.
Casey Mears also going to have trouble there in the 0-7. By the way, Mark Martin finished 38th.
hurt him in the points a little bit, unfortunately. They didn't need that for sure.
Watch.
About the same spot right there.
Yeah,
too.
same wall.
You know, it might have been you. I can't remember, Chad, you or Michael, but made the point, hey, just because Mark Martin has 3 wins doesn't mean he's got a slot nailed down in the chase.
No, it's unfortunate. You know, I mean, he's our teammate, and obviously, you know, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports is trying to make sure that they get into the top 12. But man, they've just had some terrible luck this year, and if they can never get that squared away, they're a shoo-in for the championship because they run so competitive week in and week out. But man, we just got to get those guys finishing races and helping them how we can for sure.
It's time now for the Castrol smart move of the race. It's going to go to Matt Kenseth. He feels a tire going down, and he's going to head to pit road. Michael, how?
Timing, perfect right here.
It was great timing for him. But, Michael, as a driver, how quickly can you feel a tire going down?
It just depends. At times you can feel it quite quickly, but there are other times where the tire just, the tread comes off of it, and that happens immediately, and you find yourself with a blown out tire like Sam Hornish. Think about Matt Kenseth, though. He had a flat tire. He's on pit road. He thinks, I'm going to go a lap down. How am I going to get this back? Caution flies. They throw the green flag for the restart. He's leading the race.
Yeah.
He got his pit stop done before everyone else made theirs, and it was all just because of, like Chad said, good timing.
And it's a good time now to go to a break. Coming up next, you see how I did that? Did you see that?
That's why you have that seat over there.
See how I went there?
I always wanted that seat, but I don't think I have that gear that you just possessed.
You got it. You got it. There's the big one on the back stretch. And a hot summer night in Daytona on Friday as well for the Nationwide Series race. You'll see those highlights.
The smart move of the race has been presented by Castrol Edge. Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge Advanced Synthetic. Nothing offers better wear and protection.
Oh, This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Michael Waltrip just asked me a question and said I had 4 seconds to answer it. Hey, if you'd like to win a picture of Tony Stewart's Big Victory Daytona, enter the Picture of the Week giveaway. Go to speedtv.com, click the Shows tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page, and you'll see a link at the bottom of the page to email us. Put Daytona in the subject line, and you'll be entered to win. Be sure to put your shipping address in the email. The winner will be revealed next week. The Joey Logano picture went all the way to Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, Canada.
Oh, we got some good fans in Canada. And I want to say congratulations to Burger King. They signed up with us at MWR in 2007, sponsored David for half a season, took a year off, and wound up this year with Tony, and that's their first major sponsorship of Tony for the season, and they got a win. And what great people. They love to market. They love to use NASCAR for to let people know about the King and Burger King, and I'm glad to see them in Victory Lane.
Yeah. Darian Grubb doing a good job, too, of getting some sponsor plugs in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you're a grub, you know you like Burger King.
Let's get some grub.
Ho!
Kurt Busch slides through his pits early and has to back up.
Those are slick pits, huh, Chad? You got to warn Jimmy, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest contributing factor is the speed. Oh, watch it. I think is the speed, because pit road speed there is 55 miles per hour, which is about 10 miles per hour faster than most of the racetracks we go to.
Jamie Murray hits his jack man, and prior to that, you saw David Strick.
Hey,
the athleticism of those crew guys is amazing. They get hit by cars, and they keep jacking.
Jimmy too close to the wall.
Yeah.
Makes it you guys tough to complete the pit stop.
That was tough. You know, we fell back a little bit, and the thing that you really have to be aware of is the jack man can't actually get the jack underneath the car and then work the jack handle to get the car to lift up. It's very difficult, especially when you've only got, 12, 18 inches right there of space. So it really hurt us there a little bit. And, like I said, I think it's just the speeds that the guys are carrying coming down pit road. It's about 10 miles per hour faster than most of these knuckleheads actually are used to coming down pit road at that speed. So I think it had a lot to do with it personally.
What's major to say too is you're at Daytona. The tires are very hard. They're harder and different than they are in most places. That's one thing. And secondarily, the pit road surface is wore out. It's very, very, so you can blame it on the pit road speed and say we're knuckleheads, but there are other.
This is what I love. When a driver said, these brakes don't work. And it's like, dude, all 4 tires are locked up. The brakes are working fine.
The tires don't work.
The tires aren't working.
There are reasons.
It always goes back to Goodyear. Poor Goodyear. They get the brunt of it no matter what.
The tires are designed to go around high bank turns at high speeds. They're not designed to stop on a flat surface in a pit box.
And those big old Brembo brakes that you have, they
run
work.
those at Daytona that much.
Okay, well, you know what I meant. Listen. Let's move ahead. Up front, Tony Stewart passes Denny Hamlin for the lead.
You go ahead.
A lot of guys don't use brakes.
You go ahead,
Ever.
Lindsey Nelson. Move ahead every time you get in a bind over there.
That's right. Tony
Now, this was disappointing. A couple of guys just get together. Casey was giving David a push, and he pushed him in the wrong direction. You could see it took out a bunch of good cars. David Rudeman, there you see Clint Boyer up in the middle of that. Our car was involved, and man, it's just a shame. I don't know if David was trying to move back up in line or what, but there wasn't room for him, whatever went on.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's unfortunate. And that's what happens, you know, that when you get that big run on another car, especially in the middle of the straightaway, you want to try to take advantage of it. You're trying to help that guy just as much as you're trying to help yourself. And then obviously they get Dale Jr. in the midst of it as well. But it's just...
Me and Dale Jr. used to do good at Daytona every time. And me and him, neither one have done good lately.
And now you're perplexed.
I am. I have this look I've got going on.
You're
Interesting, isn't it?
concerned.
And
Next,
that's kind of the low point of the show. Let's bring the energy back up.
All right.
Watch that.
David Reagan.
See, if he'd have stayed in line like Kyle told him to, instead of being out there trying to pass people.
Yeah, Kurt Busch made contact with a 6 car. Let's go race.
And in David's defense, Kyle Busch has never stayed in line once. So,
He goes 3 wide by himself. Time for the Geico Greatest Pit Crew. Tony Stewart's guys, this is amazing, boys. 7 for 7 in getting the 14 car off pit road
And
first.
that's earned because of the non-qualifying in the pit selection they had.
Yeah,
Now,
that-
something you have to realize is
but give him a break.
right. They
You took advantage of that quite a few times in your career.
Absolutely. I think it's great. I think it's good for them because they've earned that, you know, because they are the points leader. If it rains out, they get that opportunity.
That's right.
They should be able to have it.
And
now, the thing that I think that we need to work on as a group in the sanctioning bodies, I think where the pick out cameras are, we need to make that more consistent from
You
track
want to move
to track.
it down a little bit, don't you?
I just want to make it the same.
Right.
At every racetrack.
But
Because some
every
racetracks
racetrack isn't the same, so therefore it makes it a little difficult.
but they should treat pit road the same.
Well, maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. You know, it might be geographically challenging. But I do like the fact that the 14 car held cervix every time. Just they held cervix.
No, don't ask him again. I'm going to go right
In
to
the
the commercial.
spirit of Wimbledon, they held cervix
Stop
every
it.
time.
Stop it. When we come back, assuming we will, more looks and angles at the Kyle Busch.
You wonder why they don't watch the show.
Yeah, they will now.
We'll find out if anybody's watching now.
Oh, look at Rutledge. He's a wacky Uncle Sam. We'll put the weekend in focus again.
The Greatest Pit Crew has been presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Let's get it on!
It would be some fireworks on this racetrack.
Go! He's all over the place.
All right! Finally won at Daytona.
Work your hands and not your mouth. I don't want to hear no whining.
Really, really tight entering.
Hold back just a little wee bit.
Here they come! Here they come!
And then get them at the end.
There he comes! Right over Busch in the wall! Here comes Stewart to the checkered flag!
Well, we're going to leave the beach and go to the Windy City, Joliet, Illinois to be exact. You'll see NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot from the Chicagoland Speedway Saturday at 4:30. By the way, it's a home race for Chad Canals from Rockford, Illinois.
That's right.
Home game, I like that. All right, let's go to some more highlights. In fact, it's the big one. We've seen it a couple times already, but we're going to see it again. See, Michael talked about what a great move Kyle Busch made right there.
This is amazing.
Denny Hamlin with him.
Watch what Tony Stewart does. Right, getting in that hole right there won him that race. How he knew to get in that hole. How he knew he had room to get in that hole.
Why? Because he separated the 18 from the 11.
He took their momentum away. What an amazing move that was by Tony Stewart. That was the defining moment of this race to me. Now this is all just for TV.
What do you mean for TV?
That's theatrics.
Well, that was going to happen, is what I'm saying. Those two were going to push each other to the brink, coming to the checker. But what Tony did prior to that, I'm amazed. I like to think that I know how to restrict or play race. I just hope I would have made that move. That was cool. He
smart.
Just think what he did. He broke up their momentum.
He hasn't won this race 3 times for no reason.
And then wasn't there a stat? Didn't he win like Daytona 9 times or 12 times or something? More than you would think between qualifying races and the nationwide race.
Maybe.
He's got a bunch of wins down there. So obviously he knows what he's doing. And you know what's crazy too, Chad? People were saying on Thursday after practice, he's got the car.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Yeah,
and
they
he proved
did a great
he was
job.
the guy.
I'm just proud of Darian Grubb. I really am. You know, I mean, he's a good friend of mine. He's worked with me for years and years and years. And to see those guys go over there with Jeff Mendering as car chief and a lot of the existing players that were there last year and for the years before that are now, getting their just rewards and winning races. I think that's great. I think, Daniel Smith, Shrek, a couple of guys work on the pit crew. I work out with them at Hendrick Motorsports. All right. It's awesome. How do you know this stuff? I have no idea.
What I love about Steve is he's not just a TV guy sitting over there with his glamour spot. He's in the trenches. He knows the guys that work on these cars. He's been with us since the early, mid-'80s. He knows his stuff. And that's why I love sitting on this panel with him. Because he knows what he's saying. What's wrong? What are you doing now? I don't even know what you're saying over there.
He's mumbling. Hey, let me play the what-if game real quick. If Kyle Busch had held his line, would he have won that race?
No. He would not have won the race, but he would not have crashed. Now, what happened, don't blame Kyle Busch for that crash, and don't blame Tony Stewart. Believe me, those were two guys that could see that checkered flag waving. Kyle thought he needed to crowd up where Tony was going, and Tony thought he needed to squeeze down and pinch Kyle. We see it all the time. It's called side drafting, folks. It happens every week. Tony was going to side draft. Kyle was going to keep him from side drafting. Big crash. Big crash.
That says it all right there.
See, what would have happened right here is the 14, was going up and going past. The 48 was going to follow the 14. There's no way that the 11 would have gotten there in time to have helped Kyle get up there in time. So it was either way, Tony was going to win that if he hadn't crashed. Right
Tony would, but just let me tell you, if you want to watch textbook job last lap by a guy, watch what Tony Stewart did. Before he got to the white, to get between those guys and to get beside Kyle, or at least get almost beside him on the inside and then get really beside him on the outside, that's just good stuff. One time Dale Jr. told me, he said, I know you know how to restrictor plate race because I see you do things that I would have did. And I thought, I guess that's a compliment. And that's why I know Tony did what he was supposed to do, because I'd be like, darn, I wish I had done all that.
Well, Friday night's race was pretty wild. In fact, MW over here took a turn at the front, but it didn't turn out as well. Clint Boyer was the guy that pulled into victory lane. His 7th career Nationwide Series win, and he won from the pole.
Michael Waltrip, where did he come from?
Here comes Michael Waltrip with a huge kick in the bumper from Kyle Busch. Michael Waltrip takes the lead.
Got a crash.
Eric McClure in the 24 car has gone around, and the 04 is also involved, and that's what's left of Curtis Davis's.
Oh my gosh, he's on fire here. Need to stop that car now. My goodness, get out of that thing. He didn't bother to unhook his wire. He just pulled it right on out of there.
Boyer just trying to hang on to that car. It gets very loose in 3.
Coming to the white flag, and it's just like we've seen. Oh, look at that 10 car slide up there.
Boy, Casey Kane up across the racetrack.
He is all over the place.
Mike Bliss hard into the wall. The white and the caution flag.
Well, that'll do it right there. They took the white flag. Looks like that might be the win for Clint Boyer.
On the racetrack.
All right. Finally won at Daytona.
Hey, when we come back, we'll turn the corner. We'll talk about Chicago. We'll hear what some of the other drivers think about racing at Chicagoland. Plus, Kyle Busch snookered Jimmy Johnson on the last restart last year. We'll take a look back at the 2008 Chicago race. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Saturday night was the 125th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Daytona. Now, by comparison, we go to the Chicagoland Speedway this Saturday night, just the 9th appearance. Let's listen to what some of the drivers say about racing on the mile-and-a-half.
Going to a night race, Chicago, I think the fans enjoyed it more, and it's always a lot of fun for drivers to race at night, too.
You can see a lot of sparks flying from the cars around you, and the fans get a better show.
It gave the track more grip, and I think it gave it more lanes. I think we could race a little bit higher up, closer to the wall in the middle of the track. Just gave the drivers more options to move around a little bit.
It's a fun stop. You know, we're going up to Chicago in the middle of the summer. What a great city. The fans are enthusiastic. The short track racing up in that area, Chad will attest, Rockford, Illinois, a bunch of the Santa Fe Speedway, a bunch of the short track stuff up in the Midwest is as cool as you'll get anywhere in the country. Yeah. And then they get to celebrate that by coming to the Chicagoland Speedway and watching the Cup guys race on Saturday night. To me, you know, you just check a few of the races off during the course of the year that are special. Loud, New Hampshire, of course, Daytona. Chicago is one of those special events.
Chad, this may be the blind obvious, but I think it's important that NASCAR races in that market.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think of the people that have been from up here. Alan Kwiecki, Mark Martin used to race up there. Rusty Wallace used to race up there. Matt Kenseth is from Wisconsin. Myself, I mean, Robbie Reiser. I mean, there's so many hundreds of people that are in Cup. John Darby, there's another one. There's hundreds of people in the Cup Series that are actually from up in the Midwest. It's a great place, and it's an absolutely incredible racetrack. When we first went there, a lot of people complained, you know, it was a one-groove racetrack, and we said, look, give it a little bit of time. Let it get a little bit of age on it. And last year, the race there, they were all over the racetrack. Martin Truex ran the high line around there and was extremely fast.
You just included yourself in all that group, didn't you?
Yeah.
I thought you did. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Why did he say
he's teasing you?
I missed something.
He's making fun of you. Well, 6 different drivers have won at the Chicagoland Speedway. Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick, the only guys to win more than one race. The most recent winner, and we've talked about him a little while ago, it's Kyle Busch.
Here at the Chicagoland Speedway, it is a sellout crowd, not a seat in the house. Cars ready to go racing for the first time under the lights here at Chicagoland Speedway.
1, 2, 3, Stewart!
Things look pretty good as usual for Kyle Busch.
Totally bulletproof right now, no matter what he's driving in.
23 laps right there, buddy. What you got? Car's pretty good. Just started to pick up a stitch tight center. Good everywhere else.
And that competition caution now waving.
Starts like a left, turn in, gas only, gas only, gas only, gas only. Be ready, be ready, be ready. Go, 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 go. Watch, stop, stop, go, go.
The sun continues to set here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Way too loose out front, Irwin. Buddy, I know you're loose. We're going to work on your air pressures here. We'll get you some wedge in that thing next stop. Hold on to it. I know you're doing all you can do.
Kyle Busch has a lot of folks after him, but nobody can catch him.
Barely adjust anything. I found something here.
Jimmy Johnson down to the bottom. Kyle Busch on the outside. Wheel to wheel at the exit of turn 2. Jimmy Johnson takes the lead away on the back straight.
I mean, that's 5 points. Settle it now. Yeah, but we still got 13 laps here. Running as good a lap times as he is.
Jimmy Johnson comes tearing off turn number 4, continues to build his lead over Kyle Busch. Problem for David Gilliland, big puff of smoke, so the yellow flag will come out once again.
I have never seen an engine blow up like that. A lot of damn smoke.
Kyle Busch is awfully good on restart, so Jimmy Johnson's going to have to do a real perfect restart to keep from losing the lead.
Anybody ever seen Jimmy Johnson give one up? No. Anybody ever seen Kyle Busch give him up? Plenty. Thank you.
Here they come to the line. Green flag goes in the air.
Kyle Busch on the outside lane, halfway up. He's going to run on Jimmy Johnson. They are side by side for the lead. Johnson down low. Kyle Busch up high.
I'm talking about Kyle Busch. We don't quit. Don't worry about it, man. First time anybody's ever beaten you like that. Don't worry about it.
The remarkable year of Kyle Busch continues tonight. He wins.
Hell of a job, Kyle Busch. That was all you, baby.
You guys are really bringing me down.
He called me a buzzkill.
No, but that just shows what a great racetrack that is. I mean, you know, we talk about racing and, you know, people are like, oh, the racing's not any good. It's not as exciting as what it used to be. You people are crazy that don't think the racing is good. I mean, that is great racing. I mean, there was strategy involved. There was gas only. There were 2-tire pit stops. There were race cars all over the racetracks. The crew chiefs had to adjust on the cars. You even heard Kyle Busch say, hey, don't adjust on the car too much because I think I found a little bit of something here. That's what it's all about. The team working together and racing your guts out under the lights in Chicago. It's awesome.
Do you know in 1981, Jody Ridley won Dover when Richard Petty broke? He was 7 laps behind. The scoreboard got stuck on 493. While Jody ran his next 7 laps to be able to run the 494 lap. Racing is good, trust me. I've been around a long time.
It took me a while to figure out what you were doing right there, but
Where I was heading toward it.
I like that. Hey, a lot coming your way from the Chicagoland Speedway, and it begins on Thursday. We'll have Sprint Cup practice, Sprint Cup qualifying, then on Friday, starts with NASCAR Live and goes through to trackside as your nightcap at 11 p.m. Well, up next, one driver ran out of gas and still won at Chicago. We'll profile some of the more interesting finishes in the Windy City, and we'll find out what Chad and Michael think about race strategy at Chicagoland. We'll be right back. Well, I'll quote Mr. Canals, who just seconds ago said the race at Chicagoland has a little bit of everything. Strategy, performance, it takes it all to win at Chicagoland, and it's never boring.
Kevin Harvick very low on the racetrack and down on the apron, guys.
Oh, can he save it? Oh, he's still on the shit. No, yeah, he goes finally. He went for a mile, but he finally made it. Meanwhile, behind, these guys start trying to avoid the accident and run into each other.
This is certainly a surprise. Kevin Harvick started well back in the field. The team has played their strategy perfectly. The fuel is going to hold up, and Kevin Harvick is going to come to the start-finish line and take the checkered flag. His third Winston Cup win. He wins the Tropicana 400 for a second straight year.
Two car lengths back, and he's still got 5 laps left to get it done.
Jeff Gordon trying to steal one late. Oh, he gets into him. Here they touch it. Spinning around his Kenseth. That Kenseth spins to the apron as Jeff Gordon goes by on the outside lane. 2 car lengths the margin. We'll be talking about this one for a while. He's looking for the checkered flag off the corner.
At one of only 4 tracks he had never won on, Jeff Gordon finally goes to victory lane. He wins today. This racetrack is a lot racier than it's ever been before. But the big question, of course, is going into the nighttime. That's something they've never done at this track. Watch the restart. 2 to go.
He got the restart he wanted. Now let's see what he can do. And Kyle Busch on the outside lane, halfway up. He's going to run on Jimmy Johnson. They are side by side for the lead. Johnson's caught breaks loose.
Lines up the speedway coming off turn 4. Jimmy Johnson makes one last try. Can't quite catch him. The remarkable year of Kyle Busch continues tonight here at Chicagoland Speedway.
You gotta love this track. You gotta love what all goes on there. Seeing Kyle Busch take a win away from Jimmy Johnson, I wonder what Bobby Labonte thought. Remember Bobby? He had the Coke 600 won one night. And twice. Jimmy Johnson comes charging up on the outside of him on the last lap and passes him. You know, and so I hope Jimmy and Bobby both appreciate what Jimmy accomplished that night, because, you know, when it gets on the other foot, the shoe thing and whatnot.
Does your back hurt?
Oh, golly. When I get up in the morning, I might retire.
I really wish everybody could see what we talk about in between these segments.
I'm going to pass out, I swear.
We could do our show would be better to show what we don't show. Because I'm not really all that enthused about what we actually do put out there. But if you got to see what we do when no one's looking, it's pretty good stuff.
Oh, my gosh. Let's talk about the strategy at the Chicagoland Speedway, Chad, and the trends that we've seen in the short history, just 8 races there.
You know, it started off as a race where, you know, like how Harvick won it on fuel mileage. There was a lot of green flag racing, a lot of situations like that. There's still a lot of green flag racing, but now that the track is starting to weather, your 2 tire stops and your gas only stops are starting to fade away. Now, something else you have to pay attention to. Last year, when Kyle got by us, it was a single file restart with 10 laps or less to go. This year, you're going to have the double file restart, which is going to make it completely different once again. So you really have to pay attention. Now, if you look at the graph here, you can see your first caution, usually the laps falls around lap 40. Your average number of cautions is just over 8. Okay, so you have to pay attention to that as you're figuring out your fuel mileage strategy. Your longest green flag run is typically about 7 to 8 laps, and the last caution has shown up with about 15 laps to go.
We see all that, Chad.
Chad, when you look at information like that...
You could have probably just said, look at the screen,
Yeah,
folks.
as you see at home. How much do you rely on information like that?
You have to, don't
and
you?
how far back do you go?
Well, you go back. Now, see, there's a bunch of new twists this year that we have to pay attention to. Well, not just this year, but with the new car that we're running, with the bigger car, that's changed it a little bit. You were getting fewer and fewer cautions, and we're getting more and more cars on the lead lap. Okay, well, now there's even a larger twist to it. With the double foul restart, you're getting different amounts of green flag runs, and you're getting a lot more cars on the lead lap. So it's going to change that once again. You have to really kind of break it up into recent history to get a true number of what's happening.
You look at the wave rounds, but then another interesting question I'd like to hear your opinion on. Say there's a green, white checkered or a caution with a few laps to go, and you're leading. Do you pick the inside lane or do you pick the outside? What do you think?
I'm not telling you.
I think you're going to pick the outside, aren't you?
Then why are you asking if you already know?
I don't know. I just like that. I want to make you feel smarter than you possibly think you do already.
Shoe on the other foot thing.
I think that, it varies. I learned a lot watching you guys in the nationwide race at Daytona. The inside groove always took off for the first couple of laps.
Isn't that weird? Because you would have thought the opposite.
Exactly. And it definitely showed up there. So a lot of people took that and used that to their advantage, especially the 14 car, on Saturday night. So I think we're going to have to watch the nationwide race and see what happens, and we're going to get an indication of what we need to do.
But probably the outside?
Probably.
He's not going to tell him. When we come back on This Week in NASCAR, did you know that the teams don't take pit boxes to the racetrack each week? It's true. So if that's the case, how do they get to the track? We'll answer that question next. We'll be right back. Is your back sore, Chad?
No, he's fine.
He's fine. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. And just a programming reminder, tomorrow here on Speed, you'll see Michael Waltrip's announcement. You'll see it live at 12:30. We tried to get Chad and I tried to get Michael to spill the beans, but he will not do it.
No such luck.
You'll have to watch at 12:30 tomorrow. Time now for the Z-Max Fuel for Thought email segment. Mr. Canals will handle this. Chad, the question, after the Michigan race, we noticed the haulers leaving without their pit box. How do the pit boxes get from track to track if they don't go in the haulers?
It's a very observant fan, first of all.
That's a good question. Somebody's paying attention for sure. We have now gotten the pit boxes to where they're so large that they won't actually fit in our transporters. So what we do is we have an outside contracting company, especially for us at Hendrick Motorsports, it's Champion Tire. And what they do is they haul our pit boxes for all of Hendrick Motorsports and a lot of the other teams out there to and from a lot of the racetracks. They've got specially made carts. They've got transport trailers that are just big empty cargo boxes that they can push these big pit boxes inside. Just because what we've got with spare parts, equipment, backup cars, things of that nature, we can't fit that stuff in our transporters any longer. So that's it.
All right, it is an observant fan.
I like
that. Hey,
that.
race fans, make sure your heart is on track. Visit CheeriosRacing.com and you'll get great heart-healthy tips and $4 back in coupons from Cheerios. You'll also be entered for a chance to be one of 3,300 lucky fans to get their name on the number 33 Cheerios race car this Saturday, July 11th. And a reminder, if you want a picture of Tony Stewart's big victory at Daytona, enter the Picture of the Week giveaway. Go to speedtv.com, click the Shows tab at the top, and go to the This Week in NASCAR page. You'll see a link at the bottom to email us. Put Daytona in the subject line, and you'll be entered. Be sure to include your shipping address.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by Cheerios. Visit CheeriosRacing.com and you'll get great heart-healthy tips and $4 in coupons from Cheerios. And by Ford. Different is good. Drive the Ford difference at your local Ford or Lincoln Mercury dealer.
Up next on Supercars Exposed, Tanner Faust and Louise test the Corvette ZR1 and the Porsche Turbo. See how the Corvette performs in Tanner's drifting exercise, and the Porsche looks great in the country and on the city streets. Supercars Exposed coming up next right here on Speed. And next Monday night on This Week in NASCAR, Ralph Shaheen's going to sit in for me, and Michael Waltrip and Chad Canals will be here. And of course, as always, at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Where are you going?
Me and the old lady going to take a day off.
You are?
That's how Sterling says it. Me and the old lady going to go. You want to go?
If she ever kicks you to the curb, I got a couple of big things I need to explain to you.
Yeah, Earl Barvin.
Bring a little bit more passion. We're presented by Geico, the caveman.
Yeah, but you get me confused, though.
I know. That one sponsor I didn't like to really build it up for, but Cheerios, I love honey. You like Honey Nuts?
Honey Nut Cheerios.
It's awesome. And Geico. We have the best sponsors of any show ever. I'm happy about that.
Very excited.
You're going to the heartland.
Excited to get to the plains up there in the Midwest. Lowe Chevrolet always runs well up there. I'm going to get to see some good friends of mine. My father's going to be there for the race, and I'm stoked. I'm really excited about getting up there.
Well, I'm going to go through Owensboro, Kentucky, stop at the Moonlight Barbecue Inn, and bring you some mutton. You said you'd never had mutton.
I'd like to try some.
It's a delicacy from that part of the country. I'll bring you some.
Excellent.
We'll be watching at 12:30 Eastern tomorrow. Best of luck, and don't forget, coverage starts Thursday at Chicago.